artists, we're jumping right into our tessellation design project. So we're starting out by creating a grid of 3 by 3 inch squares. So I'm going to line up my ruler on one side and make a little mark every 3 inches in order to create these 3 inch by 3 inch squares. So I'm making my marks where? At 3 inches, 6 inches, and 9 inches. And when you use the ruler, it's very, very important that you get your lines right at that inch mark. And I'm actually, in order to make sure that my lines go absolutely straight across, even, I am going to make marks on the opposite side as well at 3 and 6 and 9 inches. Now artists, I am going to make my lines a lot darker than I want you making yours. You want to make yours pretty light, but just so you can see these, I'm going to go ahead and mark mine a little bit darker. Ultimately, you want to be able to erase these lines, so you want to do them pretty lightly. Now for the second part of my grid, I'm lining up that ruler so that it's perfectly on the starting with the 0 and the 9 inches right here. And again, I'm making my mark every 3 inches. So I'm making my marks where at 3 inches and then at 6 inches. Do I need to make a mark at 9 inches? No, because that's the edge of the paper. Then I'm going to do the same thing. I find it easy just to kind of flip my paper like that, or turn it, and make my marks once again at 3 inches and at 6 inches. Then once again, I'm going to hold my ruler down, line up those two marks, and draw my line straight from one side to the other. Now because we're doing tessellations, you do want this grid to be as exact as possible. If you found that you messed up on it and you just want to restart, you can certainly turn your paper over and do a grid on the back side, because both sides are the same. If you are happy with the first side, go ahead and you're going to write your name, first name, last name, and then your homeroom teacher's name, and then you'll be ready to start with your grid when we get to that step. Now I'm going to zoom in right here. This is a little 3 inch by 3 inch piece of Bristol board. You might have an idea of what design you want to do exactly, and if you do, you can kind of practice that and sketch that out. I'm just going to go with an abstract design, and then I don't know what I'll turn it into, but I'm just going to have fun with it. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start out with just kind of an abstract wavy line. Now notice I started my line on one side, and then I brought my line out and brought it back to the same side. That is very, very important for this step, that you start your line on one side, go out, do whatever you want with it, but it has to come back to that same side. Now at this time, I could either go ahead and draw my second part, or I could go ahead and cut and transfer. For time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and draw my second line right now. So you're starting this line on one of the adjacent sides, so that one of the sides that's next to that first side. And once again, that line needs to come out and come back to that same side that it's on. So I'm only drawing lines on two sides, two side-by-side sides, and both my lines come out and then come back to that same side. Now I'm going to go ahead and carefully cut out these lines. Now, by the way, we have a piece of what's called Bristol board for our design, so it's a lot thicker than our normal paper, and it's definitely thicker than the paper that you practiced with last week. Notice that I'm turning that paper rather than my scissors. I'm going to go ahead and cut off a little piece of tape. I'm going to slide this exactly over. Now remember, it is very, very important to have your measurements absolutely exact. So I might take the time and the care to take my little measure right here. There's a lot of ways you could do this, by the way, guys. If you had a second sheet of paper, you could make little marks on that just to make sure you're lining it up. But I like using that ruler actually. So I'm noticing, okay, that's coming right just about to that little line right there, maybe a little bit below. So I'm going to take that right over here. I'm going to mark right at that line a little bit below. Now if mine doesn't line up perfectly, I will know when I start practicing. And then I'm going to get the edge and make sure that lines up as exact as possible. Now artists, I'm not worried if my tape sticks out underneath the side. Look how easy this is to fix. It's better just to put the tape on when you have it lined up exactly and worry about kind of taking that tape off as you need. Whoop, there we go. A little extra sticking out right there. Easy peasy, boom, boom. Now I'm gonna go ahead with this right here. All right, so artists, I'm not showing you anything new right here. I'm still taking this same little piece and I'm gonna be sliding it straight across, making sure I don't turn it over or anything like that. And once again, I'm gonna make sure my measurements are absolutely exact. So this is easy enough. This comes to that 3/4 of an inch right here. So I think that side will be nice and easy to measure. I'm gonna make a little line mark at the 3/4 of an inch. Again, there's not just one way to do this. There's many solutions to this. Once again, I'm taking my tape, cutting off just a little bit. Whoop. Make sure that that piece lines up exactly with the edge, and boom, boom, down. I'm cutting off that excess tape, easy peasy. And right here, I cut into it a tiny bit. What I can do actually is the rest of it, I can actually just fold it over like that, easy peasy. Now I'm gonna zoom back out right here, and I am ready to actually start tracing this onto my grid. So once again, I'm gonna trace really, really lightly because I want the flexibility to be able to erase as needed. Now I could do it that way, I could do it that way. Any way you want to turn it is absolutely fine. I think I'm gonna go this way for now. I'm holding this down with my left hand, or whichever hand's not your drawing or writing hand, holding it down in place, drawing very lightly. I don't have to go on these straight lines because those lines are already drawn for me. And obviously I don't have to do anything with this part right here because that's off the page. Now right here, translations, remember the SL slide over like so. And look, it looks like that is matching up exactly. So if this were way off, I would know that I would need to move these pieces again, but since that's matching up exactly, I know that I'm right on. And because that's matching up exactly, by the way, guys, I don't need to retrace that because it's already traced right there. So it gets easier and easier as you go along, or less and less work, I should say, too. Once again, I'm gonna slide it over. Everything seems to be matching up on this side really, really nicely. Don't need to do that side, I can do the others. I'm gonna slide it down here now. Part is already drawn and it looks like that is lining up just perfectly. I love it when that happens. So I don't even have to trace that part again. I can just go to my other parts. Once again, I don't have to worry about tracing those straight lines right there because that's already part of my grid. Sliding it over. Oh, here's the test. Look, it matches up perfectly right there and perfectly right there. So I am right on. Nice. Here's my last row in here. Whoop. All right, guys, I'm gonna stop right there. Now I've traced my little tessellation shape in every single grid square. The next part is gonna be my favorite part where we really start to turn this into something amazing.